I see new faces in old places. Places I grew up called home. And these faces in old places are faces not of my skin tone. Yet they come from various places, do these faces, to purchase themselves new spaces in these vacant places, which have now been renovated, upgraded, upscaled, and updated. Now the old faces that once stayed in these old places had once stayed in some spaces that were rather unique places to these faces. Staying spaces with other faces, same as their faces, in places like their places, but good spaces. Soon became run-down spaces. Why? Some even torn down spaces to make room for new places in their spaces. And these were some real good places, so good that the new faces wanted to have these places. Now, there was a time when there were some vacant spaces in the new faces' places. And these too were said to be some real good places. In fact, some of the old faces tried buying spaces in these vacant spaces owned by the new faces, but some of the new faces, well, they didn't want to sell their spaces to the old faces so that they can have places in their spaces. And it wasn't that they lacked the funds to relocate to that place. They did, however, lack a certain texture to occupy that place. Come on. Now, some plans were put in place for the old faces' places. Plans which called for the old faces' places to be vacant. And these plans required drugs and gangs to infest these places, including using help from some old faces. And it was those faces that started destroying places. Those faces started making the older faces feel concerned about their spaces. Those faces started taking, shooting, and robbing places, breaking and burning down their own spaces. So quite naturally, in came some new faces. And the new faces started buying up the rest of the old spaces. Then the new faces started closing down the rest of the old places. Then the new faces started building in those same old places. And when you know it, new faces started moving in. And in came more new faces. So what about the new faces' spaces? What about those now vacant places? What about the new faces, old spaces, and old places? What will they now do with those places since they now have more convenient and better spaces? Well, the president and the vice president of the New Faces Association Club sat down to discuss this matter. I said the president and the vice president of the New Faces Association Club sat down to discuss this matter, and it kind of went like this. Bob? Yeah! Yeah, Bob. Yeah! Bob, let's sell our spaces to the old faces. Bob, you mean those same old faces that wanted to buy our places? Yeah, Bob, those. Okay, Bob, that's straight. Hey, Bob, listen. For those that can't afford them, let's give them Section 8. Because we can control that. So, the new faces started selling their places to the old faces. Then the old faces started moving to the new faces' old places. Then the new faces started moving to the old faces' new places. See, the old faces to the new faces. Question. If the new faces' places were such good spaces, why aren't the new faces staying in those places? Why are the new faces now willing to sell those same spaces to the same old faces they didn't want in their places? Why couldn't they just fix up the old faces' places for the old faces and get rid of those faces that were destroying places? Why sit back and let spaces become run-down places? Unless the plan was to have those places. And they got them too. They started turning everything into high-class places, condo spaces. No hope for the old faces to return to those places. Sure, you got some of our faces that can afford those places, but the majority of our faces have now been Section 8 located to other places, suburban places. Right out there next door to those same old faces we didn't want in our places. Because see, those faces, they did more than just trade spaces with the new faces. Those faces helped destroy their own places. So to sum it up, it's like this. See, the new faces, well, they got new places. Well, they got new spaces. And the old faces, they got new spaces too. But here's the difference. While the new faces, new spaces came with new places, the old faces just got new spaces. Because nothing else was new. God bless.